It's 10:30 in the morning of Sunday, the 19th of February 2017. This is Vaduz in Liechtenstein. This is the parking for the National Stadium, which you can see down there. A national stadium which has seating capacity, I think, of somewhere around 5,500 people, but they can get another 2,500 people in there if necessary. So they can get, in fact, just over 8,000 if I got the figures right, which is more than the entire population of Vaduz, which is the capital of this country. And that's where I am right now. So this parking here is actually free at the weekends. It's only a car park. I heard a story about there being a water dump here and a chemical toilet dump, and I haven't found it. I don't know where it is, but if there is one, don't know where it is. Let's have a look around. So you can see the mountains up there, the Alps, and this is the border road. This is the border between Liechtenstein and Switzerland. And so we'll go up to the border right now. You can see it up here. This is the River Rhine. The Rhine starts in Graubünden in Switzerland. So you've got around, what, about 100 kilometers further. It'll wind its way down to where it actually starts off. But look at it here and think how big it is. You've seen films of mine here, for example, from Düsseldorf or Krefeld, and compare them to what it is down here. It's also got this wonderful colour here. Looks a little bit like the Isonzo in Slovenia. Fortunately, it loses this colour as it goes upstream. And downstream, I should say. That's Switzerland over there. And when you cross the border, even by road, you can't tell that you're in a different country because there's no signs up. No, nothing. And I shall be going up now into town. That castle you can see on the hill there, that's the royal palace, or the princely palace. That's where the Princes of Liechtenstein live. They've lived there for around 100 years or so. They actually, when Liechtenstein was born, or they bought the land just so they could sit on the in the Diet in the Reichstag. They didn't actually bother coming here. So whereas Liechtenstein itself's been on the go now for nearly 300 years, the princes have only bothered to actually live here for 100. And Liechtenstein football teams played England twice, 2-0 victories for England. And when you consider that the population of England is 1,200 times greater than the population of Liechtenstein, that's a pretty good result. Indeed, in the 2006 World Cup, Liechtenstein held Portugal to a draw, and Portugal got through to the semi-finals. So how about that? That's a pretty good achievement in my opinion. I hope I've got that right. I'm going off memory now. Anyway, we'll always check that one out later, and if it's wrong, I'll put it down in annotation. There's my vehicle. It's a Sunlight T67, and my neighbours have an Euromobil Terrestre. Theirs is from 2014, and that's a 2017 model. And now let's have a look into Liechtenstein, or rather Vaduz. The sign for the motorway you see up there, that's in Switzerland, in fact to the side of the Rhine. You can't actually see it, but you can hear it. So the Rhine Park Stadium was opened in 1998, and the first game was a game between Vaduz and a German team. I think it was Kaiserslautern, but I'm not certain, but Vaduz lost 8-0. Which, considering that Vaduz is not really much bigger than a village, in fact it's a small town, It's not really a surprise that it was beaten. But having said, Vaduz plays in the Swiss League, and I know it made their first division, their Premier Division. So that's quite good. This cost 19 million francs to build. Seems like a lot of money to me. Now, Liechtenstein was an agricultural country really until it went into the financial services sector. And I suspect that the financial services sector is going to be going out of fashion before long, as it will do in Switzerland also, because of the problems with money laundering. And Liechtenstein is now considered to be clean, and all the dodgy money's gone off to places like Singapore and other havens. There are a number of companies in Liechtenstein. There's more companies based here than there are people who live here. One company that comes to mind to me is Hilti, who might sort of make tools. So you're looking for work, there is the site to go to. I came out from a walk last night, which hopefully will be published. I came down here and there were goats in the field. And last night, as it is carnival time, there was a marching band sort of contest, which was very good. London's got the Thames, Rome's got the Tiber, Paris has got the Seine, and Vaduz has got this, I don't know what it's called. So we've got the police car there. I think there's 125 people in the Liechtenstein police force, including the civilian backup. Civilian backup is just over 1/3, and they're also entrusted with the nation's defence because there isn't an army. They got rid of the army 150 years ago. The public transport system here is apparently quite good. As you can see, I've just walked in from the stadium, and this, I think, is the centre of Vaduz. There's no railway station here. The railway station's at the largest town here, which is called Schaan, which is a couple of kilometres from here. So if you're travelling by train, which is in itself apparently quite difficult because there's not many people on that line, it goes to and from Feldkirch in Austria to somewhere in Switzerland. And there we have today's game, Vaduz versus Lugano. Oh dear, and it's at 13:45. Hope the van's going to be alright, as it's taken up 2 places. Place in the Swiss League, that's why it's playing Lugano. See, the co-op's open, so I'll come in here and get rid of my Swiss coins. So if not, I'll just lose them. Assume that this is the centre. The building behind me houses Liechtenstein Marketing, which I presume is the tourist office, although there's another tourist office given on the internet, but I couldn't find it from the address. And in front of that is this enormous museum, the Kunstmuseum Liechtenstein. It's an art museum. And above that, that's where the princes live. So if the prince has been out for a night on the town, he's got a difficult walk back and in a state of inebriation. If that happens, I'm not suggesting it does. I don't know. It might well do, but I don't know. Strong sun, but it's cold. When I saw the sun this strong this morning, I thought I'll go out without the coat on, and I quickly changed my mind on that one. As you can see, fuel prices here are more or less the same as they are in Switzerland. So this isn't a place to come for cheap fuel, unlike, for example, Luxembourg, Andorra, Gibraltar, or San Marino, where it's a bit cheaper than it is in Italy. I fancy if you're heading down to Rimini, it's possibly always worth nipping into San Marino just to fill up on fuel. And while you're there, you can have a look at a very interesting town. Gasthof Mountains. I walked down here earlier without filming because of the strength of the sun. But now, I've got the sun behind me, so I'm heading back north and there'll be a better picture. There's the hospital. And there's a curious mural of somebody walking in the snow. A little bit further on, there's the cathedral, which became a cathedral because John Paul II made it one. Before that it was a church, but I suppose it makes sense for the capital of a European country to have its own cathedral. Today's Sunday, so the cathedral might be open. This shop sells hunting clothing and it appears hunting equipment. Now, when such a large part of this country is in fact mountain and forest, I presume that that is an important part of the pastimes of people who live here. Perhaps, I'm just guessing. This is the smallest cathedral I've ever been in. I think, maybe not. I think also that the royal weddings, when they occur, are held here. Franz Joseph II was the prince and his wife was called Gina. And he was 15 years older than Gina. And they both died in 1989. He died only a couple of weeks after she died. He was the first, I believe, the first Prince of Luxembourg to actually bother to live here. And at one stage in his life, I think he was one of the oldest monarchs in the world. Or I say one of them, I've sort of covered myself anyway. Maybe he wasn't the oldest. This building is the Parliament building. You can see it's got the date up there, 1904. Well, I think it was completed in 1905. Could be wrong on that one. But it definitely says 1904 up there. And I've got the square in front of the Parliament, and you can get a guided tour around it apparently. Should you be so interested. It looks pretty close today, as I'd expect on a Sunday. This is what I heard described as the government quarter. So these 38,000 people from Liechtenstein, they need governing from somewhere, and it's done from here. Except for the Prince, he lives up there in the hill. Well, that looks to me like the tourist office. This is kilometre zero in Liechtenstein, because the Parliament, or also called the House of Estates, studied from 1867 to 1970. So it was the first Parliament building. It moved down there later. Post Museum, I believe, is free. Should you be interested in stamps and the like. I used to be, but I've sort of lost interest in them now. I see this confetti on the ground, which I suspect is from last night's festivities. This is where I was last night. They did a pretty good job of cleaning it up. The ruins of a castle down there, but the princely castle is in this way. So I bet that prince is fit, walking up and down here every time he needs to pop into the co-op. Above the princely palace, we've got the end of the town, and Vaduz ending. You can now drive faster than 60 kilometers an hour. There's some place to park your car. Looks a great place for a camper van, only it's not permitted during the night. How annoying. So you'll have to go and sleep in the stadium where I slept. Also, if you want to make an early start as well, it's quite annoying. You can't park here until after 6.
So the Prince has got a pretty good view in the morning of the Alps. The oldest part of this castle dates to the 12th century, but it has quite a history. In more recent times it was a prison, it was a tavern, and the princes have been living there since 1938. And obviously since then it's been out of bounds to the public. But previously, if it was a prison, I'm sure it was in bounds to the public. It's quite a hike up that hill. As you can see the Rhine, which marks the border with Switzerland. If you want to see the Prince's garden, here it is. And if you're going to be visiting him, you'll come down here, press the bell. It says Eintritt verboten, so if you're not allowed in, I don't quite understand how it's going to work out. And that's his front garden, rather than his back garden, with great views. So I'm going to go back now. I can either take the long way around, which would be to follow the road, or I can take the shortcut, which is the same way as I came, using the path, which in any case is probably more interesting. And then what I think I'll do is I'll go back to the motorhome and slowly make my way north, go through Austria, and then I've got plenty of time. I've got to be in Germany tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, although I did tell them I'd sleep outside the factory to make sure I was there on time, and that seems a good idea as any to me. Schlossberg Castle Path. Today Vaduz is playing Lugano, and the kick-off's in a very short time, so that's how many people are here for the match. There's the stadium, and there's the car park. And that was me worried about the car park being full. I saw somebody putting up railings last night when I came back. See there, 3 planes flying over Switzerland. Now, Vaduz, or Liechtenstein, doesn't have an airport. So you're coming here, you've got to fly somewhere else. Possibly Zurich, which is some distance away. There are airports which are closer, but not for major flights in. Liechtenstein had a customs relationship with the Austro-Hungarian Empire from the middle of the 19th century, but in the aftermath of the First World War, it stopped it. So in 1919 it no longer wanted to have this relationship with Austria. Austria was really a tiny shadow of its former self in 1919 when compared to what it had been 5 years earlier. And around 1924, Liechtenstein entered into a customs agreement with Switzerland, and in the circumstances, with the Swiss economy being a little bit stronger, that made more sense. Nonetheless, Switzerland was also beset with major social problems, such as there was a general strike in November 1918 and the army had to be called out to put it down. You can see a film I did on Switzerland in the First World War. It might give some answers to that. Liechtenstein is a parliamentary democracy, and we passed the parliament, though women have only been allowed to vote since I think it was 1974, and there was a referendum, to which of course only men could vote in the referendum, but women got their vote as a result of this. Talking to somebody from Interlaken who said that I think it's something like 37 shops selling watches, and there isn't anywhere normal to get clothes. One of the problems of living in a tourist area. And here you can see there as well things selling knives, although there are one or two normal shops. The road is blocked, possibly for the football match, and this is what they do in Warsaw as well, in the centre of the town at that. It's a pretty daft place to put the football stadium as far as Warsaw is concerned. As far as Vaduz is concerned, I don't suppose they have much choice. Playing football on the slope isn't much fun. Got the floodlights on, don't know why. It won't get dark here until gone 6 today. See the van standing above all the other vehicles here in the car park. This morning when I left it was totally empty, but now it's packed.